So I think that's a great transition. So let's talk about the death certificate. People don't realize that the death certificate is a necessity to start the entire estate process, the claims process, accessing any money. So let's start off by just talking in general terms. Every state's a little bit different, but I know right now, if you go to the Texas Public Health and Human Services website, it's essentially a 30-day electronic processing time. Up in the Northeast, we've heard some 6 to 8 weeks. We just had another advisor that does a lot of beneficiary liquidity plan business in Minnesota say they're longer than 6 weeks. You guys are in, you're based in the greater Chicago area, but like, what's been your experience lately just getting a basic death certificate to start the process?
6 to 8 weeks. It's taking a little bit longer in some cases.
So COVID has certainly exacerbated those delays, and it's really the only way to get it is to go through here in the Office of Vital Statistics, and they take their time.
So why is the death certificate a necessity? Does everybody require a death certificate historically to start? Like, I guess let's go through the different options. So life insurance, final expense insurance, those require a death certificate, right? So you got to wait, then you got to file the claim. So that money's not available for the family.
Death triggers the claim, and you need proof of the death. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
So you got to wait for the death certificate. If someone has like a living trust, because a lot of people go, well, Phil, my successor trustee can access my money when I die, which is true. But isn't it also true that you have to have the death certificate to start that transition process?
It's about a transfer of permission or ownership. And if it's permission, you got to prove that you have permission to step in, and that's where the death certificate comes in.
And then we're going to get into this a little more detail too, but like the transfer on death accounts, TOD or POD, pass on death, or excuse me, payable on death. Every financial institution requires a death certificate because, again, they're not just going to change ownership on that without proof, right?
They've got to have it. So it's really there's only one way of doing it, and that's with the death certificate. So
Craig, if somebody comes into your office and they say, and they're already a client, because you guys have over 1,500 estate planning clients, and they're like, Craig, mom just passed. They come in with all their documents, and you already have copies. Can you do anything really without a death certificate as far as getting them access to money?
Not access. We can set everything up, get it ready, but we have to have that death certificate to move forward. It's really the first step in the process.
Yeah. And so with 6 to 8 weeks, even if it was 4 weeks, 30 days, there's a lot of expenses that executor or the beneficiaries are having to come out of pocket. And what I see is that most of the people who, have passed away, that's not what they thought was going to happen. They thought they did all this planning so that it would be easy for their family, but they didn't know that they weren't going to get access to the money.
Yeah, but Phil, what bothers me about that is I run into so many people that come into new clients, and they got their kids' names on their checkbooks and on their savings accounts, and they don't realize that they're doing that for access because they know that the kids can't get the money at death, right? Without a death certificate. So they give them ownership, which is the number one biggest mistake we ever see, because it's just a big mistake. I mean, Craig, why is it? I mean, we run into this all the time. A $10,000 joint tenancy can unfold into millions of problems for family. Am I wrong, Craig?
Oh, not at all. I mean, you put someone else's name on your account, that's an owner. And with ownership brings, control and liability.
So we're going to do a whole segment on kids as joint owners. I think what I want to kind of wrap this segment up with is that we can't access any money without a death certificate. No. We can kind of start the process behind the scenes, but money will not actually be available in any way, shape, or form until we get those death certificates. So somebody has that burden of paying out of pocket for the funeral, celebration of life, travel expenses, attorney fees, any other bills, with hopes of getting reimbursed in the future. So with the beneficiary liquidity plan, we give the family access in less than 48 hours to the money without a death certificate, using the money they were already going to inherit anyways. And by eliminating the need for the death certificate, they get access when they need it most. So that on one of the worst days of their life, the day the loved one passed away, it's not a burden. And so that's why we want to put the minimum that we think the family's going to need. So that transitions to what we were talking about, which I think